February Property and Finance Committee meeting to order. Alderperson Blazer had something come up and he asked Alderperson Graff to sit in for him. We have a sign-in sheet, so if anyone comes in, we'll just have them sign that in for the clerk's record. Agenda item number 2 is review and consider for approval a contract not to exceed $12,000 from Omni Resources Incorporated to conduct an IT environment assessment and assist in determining information technology priorities. And this was a referral from the mayor that is attached. He's not here to answer any questions about it, I guess.
Just to give a brief overview for the audiences, is that we requested that contract with Omni Resources to do an assessment of our IT system network, look at servers and things, make sure that they're running at peak efficiency, as is referenced in the referral. The funding for this would come out of the information systems operating budget to fund the contract, the request not to exceed $12,000.
And I guess, I don't know if you watched the HR committee meeting, but we actually talked about third-party outsourcing a little bit for the IT department, because the director position obviously is not filled, so.
I guess my one question to it is, who currently handles our servers and everything? Isn't that Solaris handles that?
These would be our network servers. So the Solaris is would probably only handle the ones that would for our phone system, but these would be the servers that we have for our IT network, our Munis server that we loaded our new financial software and HR software on. So those are in-house servers that we maintain.
Was the Munis, that wasn't included in the Munis bid, apparently?
It was included in the budget, but we purchased. You had two options with the Munis is that you can purchase your own servers, house it in-house, put it in-house and maintain it in-house, or you can actually have them maintain it in the cloud, but the cost to have them maintain it was a lot more. It was the tune of if I remember, don't quote me on this, but around $40,000 a year for them to maintain it. So the decision was made to purchase a server and maintain it in-house.
So this has nothing to do with, this is just an oversight?
Overview of our IT network, all our servers, switches, all that stuff, so.
It's more than just Munis then, right?
Oh yeah, no. Munis is just one server as part of our IT network. I'm not sure how many servers we have, but we have multiple servers.
How often is this done?
We had one done a number of years ago. That was a while back that we had an assessment of our IT network. I was going to say maybe late 2000s, 2009 maybe, if I remember correctly.
Ms. Kelly?
Why was Omni chosen? Is it a local firm, or is it outside, or is it a bid, or?
I'm not sure. I wasn't part of the solicitation of the bid, so I don't know exactly which firms were contacted.
All right. Always look at local if we can.
Right.
And it doesn't specify it. And I guess, to be fair, there's no competing bids really listed either.
For that reason, I guess I'll make the motion to table this until next month and get more information, get additional bids, making sure that we're doing this properly. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and second to table the agenda item. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 3, review and consider for approval for additional services from Tyler Technologies to address conversion of project ledger strings end user training and Tyler IT management services.
Okay, this is Munis. Okay, there's 3 requests here, and I'll take them one at a time. The first one is the project ledger strings, and basically what that is we purchased the project management module, and basically that is the module that's going to help us track all our major projects, because we do our own sanitary, storm, street, water main construction, and basically this module, kind of like a module we presently have, will help us track those jobs and provide information to the engineering department and the street department on those jobs. And when we initially did the contract with Tyler's for the module, it was overlooked at the conversion of the project strings, and basically what that is the accounting strings, setting up all the project accounting strings. Similar to, we're converting all our financial data, 3 years of financial data, we're paying to convert that over and put that into the new system. This is basically taking our project information and converting that over, similar to our financial data. So to convert that information, it's $2,000 that Tyler charges for those conversion services. The second one is the end user training. In the original bid, it was quoted as basically train the trainer. Basically, they would train key users, that would be me, finance department or whatever, to then train the rest of the organization in operating in the Munis. And obviously with the new financial software, department heads and other key people, individuals in those departments are going to be interacting more with the software. I mean, it's going to provide them with access to a lot more information. They're going to be processing a lot more information, so they need to be properly trained in the system. However, that training is scheduled to go in basically the 2nd and 3rd week of June. We're scheduled to go live in July. And so we just don't feel that we have the time and resources, or we're going to be learning too, to really properly train all the department heads. So Tyler offers services where we basically bring in those people, all the key individuals that we identify, bring them in the room, and they actually train them for 6 days on the various modules. That would be the project module, purchasing module, receipt AR, accounts payable module, general ledger, budgeting module, so that they'll basically train department heads and other key individuals how to use the system. And the third one is the IT managed services. As we stated before, a little bit in the previous agenda item, we're housing our financial software on a server that's dedicated to Munis. Since this is the first year and there's a lot of system configurations set up with security and maintaining the thing, we felt it was best that, at least for the first year, we purchased Tyler's IT management services, where they'll help us monitor our Munis server, help us maintain that server, and basically support us in any issues that arise in that first year. I talked to Brian Landowski about it and kind of said, I think it would be a good idea to have it for the first year, but then kind of assess how much we use it, how much they're doing, so that, when it comes up for renewal, we can sit there and then make an educated decision on whether we need to continue with this service, was it worth it, or, is it, yep, they provided, a lot of service to us, and it's something maybe with the staffing that we just can't dedicate to maintaining the proper service. Obviously, with that server housing our financial software, payroll, human resources, it's a very critical server, in that any potential, shutdown of that server, or issues is time critical when it comes to payroll and paying bills. So we feel, at least in the first year, this would be a valued service as we transition from our old software to our new software. So that's basically the gist of those 3 items. And the funding of this would come out of the finance and IT budget. There are funds available for it.
I think 6 days of training does speak to the, level of complexity.
So what I do for Renaissance is actually set similar situations like this up for school districts, and I'm glad to hear you guys are going the route of really going thorough on the training and not just doing the train the trainer model, because I've seen that fail several times when school districts try to save money by doing train the trainer. So yeah, I would just say I'm happy to see that we're gonna be thorough with something we're investing a lot of money in.
Yeah, and I think just the time crunch between when we have to train everyone and go live, and obviously we're going to be very invested in that transition, plus trying to maintain our normal work. That
Right.
you know, I don't think we'd be able to dedicate the proper training to people. And then once you go live, you know, if people don't know how to process financial information in the system, it's gonna be a big problem. So we felt this was well worth it. And it also offers them to ask a lot of questions that we probably wouldn't be able to answer, that you have the experts in the room.
So this end user training is for after you go live?
No, before.
So but currently in the bid, there's training, the train-the-trainer would be prior to the end, and then this training would also take place?
Right, in the bid is what they call process training. That's where they bring in the key individuals that are going to be performing those prime functions, like say, let's say in accounts payable, how to enter invoices and process those. They call that process training, where they show those key people how to do it. The end user training is everyone else in the organization that might be doing a purchase requisition, when department heads, how to go into the budget module and how to run budget projections, or how to actually fill in and complete your budget and things like that. It's all that. The people that are going to be using the system, the users of the system, to train them how to use the system and get information out of it, and some of those key functions.
Make a motion? I'll make a motion, with that being said, to approve purchase of additional services from Tyler Technologies.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the additional services. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Item number 4, review and consider for approval a proposal for the East Side Assessor Plat number 62 for the block line between Spring Street and Cherry Street, line between River Drive and Smith Street. Also the lots adjacent to the easterly right-of-way of Smith Street between Cherry Street and Spring Street. Little tongue twister almost.
So I did hand out the list of proposals that we had received. We solicited five companies, 5 local engineering firms that would do this sort of work. It's 11 lot assessor plat. We typically do these in advance of reconstruction projects that we have coming up, and only in areas where the monumentation is missing. And so for the 11 lots here, adjacent to Smith Street and Cherry Street, which are both future reconstruction projects, there's only a couple property pins that are actually in place. So this is it's a nice way, the assessor plat process is a nice way to get that information, get it monumented in the field at a relatively low cost to both the city and the property owner. Badgerland Survey, they had the low bid, $3,200, or proposal, I should say, and that's who, from a staff recommendation, that's who we would go with.
I'll make a motion to award the bid to Badgerland Survey in the amount of $3,200 for the, as stated.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve Badgerland Survey. Any further discussion?
I just want to be clear of the work. I know that this area in particular is going to see a lot of construction this next year. We typically do this in-house, or we typically always hire this out?
It takes a registered land surveyor to do it, so we don't have one on staff. So we've always, at least in the last, 15 years, since Dick Malik retired, we've hired it out. So.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? The motion is to approve the bid to award the bid to Badgerland Survey. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 5, review and consider for approval a request from We Energies to relocate gas regulator equipment from Veterans and Mead Rapids View Parks to a location along Baker Street adjoining Gaynor Park and Wood County property.
Yes, hi, my name is Adam with We Energies, Adam with We Energies. First of all, our point of contact has been kind of pushing this. Ken Brecky is our operations supervisor here in local Wisconsin Rapids. Unfortunately, he had a travel commitment. I'm from our Winnebago Service Center, but I've been working with him to come up with some plans. Essentially, this all started, there is a relief valve, a waterfront side of First North Avenue. And we were looking at putting fencing around that relief valve as a form of security. It's typical for our sites. When we learned that the city would like to develop the waterfront property and as part of a redevelopment project, if I'm correct. That being said, we started looking into some options of relocating our pits in the downtown park area, as well as that relief valve, to a location that would get them out of your potential park riverfront area, and then bring them above ground and give us a little bit of reliability for our system. We originally looked at the Wood County parking lot there on the corner of Baker Street and First Street North. I do have a printout. I think you guys have some printouts of what. Yes, perfect. Now, we originally approached the committee, but the county committee, but they asked us to investigate some other options. From a development standpoint, they weren't sure what the future holds for that property. So we took a look at moving it into the park. As you can see on the printout, there's approximate easement boundaries. We would need both easements from the county as well as the city in order to move forward. So a lot of things kind of have to fall into place for this to happen. The benefit for the city is they regain their waterfront property. We'll remove the pits and relocate the gas facilities. The benefit from our standpoint is we bring our pits above ground. It would give us a chance to upgrade the pits. At that point, the pits are functioning. They operate just fine. The issues being that they are in pits, so if you get a cold day like last week with a lot of snow, and say something went wrong and we needed guys to get in there, they'd have to get in there. And same for the summer, if there's scheduled maintenance, they typically have to put blocks out to block out space for their trucks to park in order to access the pits. So that's where this project came from. Are there any questions? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, from the map, it looks like this is going to be pretty close to some houses there. I mean, how are they going to be affected with the move of these to their backyard?
Sure. The easement property is in the boundary of the county property and the park property. However, you are right there. There will be a structure behind their building. A fence structure of about 30 to 40 feet wide, or 30 by 40. There's options for privacy slatting, color, all that can be, arranged at a different time. They will see a structure behind their yard, but a lot of our properties do have, the solid green fencing, different types of buildings, steel structures. So it would look kind of like maybe an outbuilding or a garage. So that's what you can see behind the property.
And just to add a little bit of background to it, the We Energies has been in discussion with both Wood County and the city for, I think it's been a solid year, just off and on, just periodically, looking at different sites initially and kind of narrowing in on this location. So Adam Tagan has been involved in the discussions as well. The information that he's provided back, the infrastructure that would be there would be considered major infrastructure, utility improvement, which would require conditional use, public hearing, plan commission approval, and that sort of process. So it provide an opportunity to iron out some of those details and for the property owners to come in and speak on that issue. So The request for the agenda items really just to get a sense if the committee and the council are interested in pursuing stuff in city property and city parkland.
That's good to know, because that would be my main concern, is that these residents don't get a chance to have a voice in it, but it sounds like that wouldn't be the case.
Correct.
So, okay.
Just curious, how's the conversations? It looks like your proposed would tear up the county parking lot, and the county's okay with tearing up the edge of their parking lot?
In order to install the piping back and forth to the header that runs along Baker Street, yes, the county parking lot would be ripped up, but it would be restored. And it was our understanding that they would be more favorable to just having their parking lot ripped up and restored versus us originally, our thought was to put facilities within the boundary of the parking lot. But that would sacrifice spaces. So that was the idea, being that we don't sacrifice any spaces, they would be more keen to maybe granting us
The relocation of the valve, this is actually a benefit to We Energies as far as moving it above ground and getting it behind.
The pits operate fine as they are. The benefit for us would be guys physically going down into the pits versus being above ground. The other benefit, if there was an emergency and valves need to be accessed, they could be accessed easier above ground. The alternative to not getting the easement rights is from either the city or the county is to leave the pits intact and just work with what we have.
What is the proposed future cost to the city for this upgrade, or the city approach We Energies to move this, or We Energies approach the city to move it?
We, I guess we would have approached the city to move it after learning of their Riverfront project. The cost, rough ballpark cost for We Energies to move and remove the pits and then relocate and build up the new proposed site is probably about $500,000. The only, from a city standpoint, the only potential cost would be there is a sewer lateral near that location, and that lateral may need to be relocated potentially if the new construction does impact.
Have you had an opportunity to look at that lateral to see if it's going to be impacted?
We had looked at it a while back, just to see if we had any televising information on exactly where the lateral came in. I haven't looked at it recently, and the footprint has changed slightly from where it was 6+ months ago when I had looked at that data. So I have yet to do that. So it's not for certain that it is impacted, but it very well could be.
And what, if it is impacted and it has to be moved, what's the potential cost to the city for doing that?
Well, at this point, from a staff perspective, we would hope to work with We Energies on that further. Certainly our crews could do the work, but the financial reimbursement for that, we would still be asking for We Energies to pay for that.
And just to give you my perspective on it, and for infrastructure wise, and as far as moving from We Energies perspective, I have absolutely no problem to make a safer environment for your employees to work on, no different than the way I would treat our employees. I mean, I think that's a gain. My only thing is that cost always seem to creep in, right? So I want to make sure that we understand the cost before we go ahead and approve things. To say, because it just seems like we're all the time having to pay for things that have already been done, or these costs creep in, and it just doesn't seem like it's appropriate in a lot of cases. Where something like this, we should definitely be able to get out in front of, and at least everybody as aldermen would be well informed enough to make that decision moving forward. But as far as relocating it, I don't have an issue, and if you worked it out with the county and they're okay with the parking lot and you're going to refurbish that part of it, I mean, my only concern is what it is to us. I do understand that our council approved the addition of the next phase. So we obviously don't want to stick that kind of money downtown and then have to worry about you guys having access to it. And so I completely understand both sides, but I just think in order to be transparent with the taxpayers of the community, we need to understand those costs up front. At least have a ballpark so it doesn't come back to us. And so, I mean, I don't know what you're looking for here as far as, you just want to see if this is an option, because we obviously would like to see it move if we're
Yeah.
going to move through with phase one.
So there is, from a infrastructure procurement standpoint, there is quite a lead time on that equipment. So initially here, we wanted to get it before the committee to see if there was a general consensus that yes, we think it's a good idea to move it to city parkland, just different parkland. That we can continue to work with We Energies, and the county has their approvals that they would need to get, and continue to work down that path. Certainly right now, we're not projecting that we would spend any dollars towards it. I guess if that were to change, bring it back to the committee.
I'll actually make a motion on this because I don't have an issue with this. I think we should definitely move forward with looking into this, but I would like to see this be a part of the bid for the phase one riverbank development, that the extra costs be absorbed in that project. If any incur, if they don't incur, then we don't, it's not an issue, so.
So the motion was basically to approve this contingent upon the city not costing the city anything? Any costs would be allocated to phase one project, because that's really the purpose of this, is because we're putting in the phase one. So I would like to see this be a part of the bid, to make sure that everybody's upfront and honest about the cost of it. And if it's gonna cost the city a lot of money and the taxpayers a lot of money, I wanna make sure that we incorporate that into the second phase of our development.
So just for clarification, it wasn't really prompted by the riverfront improvements. There was, Ken Brecky contacted the city to put up fencing and different things to secure some of their infrastructure that they have, and then finding out about the park improvements, then said, well, hey, maybe we can find a different site and get it out of there altogether, rather than having two different locations. They have some equipment in Mead Rapids Park, some in Veterans Park. We can clump it together into one location. City, can you help us find a site that would work? And that's kind of work.
Yeah, and I think it's actually appropriate if, obviously we approved it, so I think it's appropriate, but I definitely think that these costs would be in addition to that project, where they should have been brought up to the council prior to the council approving the project to say, by the way, there's going to be costs with relocating We Energy services. So I just want to make sure I'm clear with
Sure.
the reason I'm asking.
Yeah, and our hope again is that it's not a cost to the city.
And if it's not, then it's a moot point, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or would it be?
Jake?
Oh, sorry.
I don't want to see any cost to the city on this, even if, I don't want to see it allocated to the riverfront project. If there is, I would be fine with moving forward with this as long as there's no cost to the city. And if there is, then it comes back and we go over it. That would be my thought.
I guess my suggestion would be is approve the request contingent upon if there's any cost to be borne by the city, that be brought back to
Yes,
the
yeah.
committee. That'd be fair.
Was that consistent with your motion, Lee?
No.
Okay. So is there a second to Lee's motion? And I'll second Lee's motion. But just, you hit on it, Joe, but we're not anticipating any cost whatsoever with this. And are you able to speak to that point at all? Or?
At this point, without knowing the sewer investigation, the sanitary, I wouldn't be able to speak to that.
Okay,
Did you have anything?
that's,
Probably the only thing would be just to confirm that at this point, I would agree with what Adam said about the county's position regarding the parking lot, and that I think when an easement is requested of the county to bring that line under the corner of the parking lot, if their facility is in that very corner of Gamer Park where the county's involvement is the line underneath the parking lot and the easement for that. I see that being just flying colors. I don't think there would be any hiccup at all. I think that where we're unsure of how the county board would vote is if we're talking about everything being in the parking lot where we're using it as, so I think he was accurate on that.
Okay.
So I think that, kind of working with you guys together, it'd be a nice thing to see happen, and hopefully it can.
Just for clarification for the minutes, I just want to make sure I have your motion right. It was moved by Graff, second by Zerflip to approve the request from Reentries to locate the gas regulatory equipment from Veterans Park to these bakers, blah, blah, blah. And with any cost to be included in the East Riverbank Phase 2 bid. Is that basically? Okay. Just want to make sure I got that correct.
Any further discussion on the item? Jake?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna vote against this just due to the fact that I don't want to see any cost to the city, not out of the riverbank phase, not out of anything. So I just don't like that part of the motion.
And the motion as it stands, if there was a cost, it would not come back for approval? That's what, the way you read it, Tim?
That based on it would be included in the Phase 2 bid, as I believe your motion was.
Okay. I have to echo Jake's statement. I think if we discover there's a cost, I would like to see it come back so then we can, at that time, identify what we're gonna do about it. So, any other discussion on the item?
If the facilities remain as is, there will, obviously this all started with the security fencing around those structures, and with the redevelopment of that park, that if the items stay as is, that will need to be addressed in terms of security for those facilities, so at some point.
What's the lead time on starting construction? You would obviously be looking to do that.
Parts is the main issue. Parts can take anywhere from 6 to 10 months. Ordering the new valves, regulators, those are the main lead time. So if design was started prior to approvals, we'd look at getting parts by July, August timeframe.
And how does that fit in with the project scope?
Those parks will be under construction at those times.
I mean, when does the scheduled completion of the next phase?
It hasn't been determined yet.
Okay, 'cause-
Once it's let and the contract's awarded to a contractor, they'll provide us with a schedule.
The scope?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely, as far as our concern here, and the reason for my bid was that, or my motion was to make sure that you guys understand that we're in favor of this. I was just trying to link this fund because we're obviously put a lot of the resources for that phase, so we would want to see this done regardless.
Sure.
So just to make sure that we're clear that you're not walking away saying,
Oh no, We Energies understands that both the county and the city are in favor of this improvement. Just a matter of getting the pits and reliefs. If that riverfront property is a nice property, it may be an eyesore for the property. And we understand that everyone's on the same page. It's a matter of getting the parts to line up. Is where we see it. So.
out of any other sites in this area, was there any other ones in particular that you guys were investigating?
There was a couple others. I don't know if you
Ken
recall
Brecky
which ones.
I actually was not. I started in May, but Ken Brecky looked at a couple of other ones.
And I think most of those were further up First Street, which I believe your main gas line runs down Baker Street.
Down Baker Street, correct.
And
So
so
the
there were
farther away we get,
complications
the
with-
more cost on our side, and we're already sitting at an approximate of half. So.
I just know that, and I would ask the other aldermen in the room if they would want to speak up on it, but that park is a maintenance nightmare for our Parks Department as well, because it's so low.
It's wet in there.
It's wet, so even mowing in the summers and stuff, I think is I mean, do you guys know of any future development in that area because of the elevation or? No? Okay.
So the only hiccup for me was that sewer line. But like I said, I understand your concern totally. I understand yours too, Lee. So, any other discussion on that for the third time? Okay, all in favor of Alderperson's Graff motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Hey,
Motion carries 2-1. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Agenda item number 6, consider for approval a taxi cab operator license application for Gotta Go Taxi Limited Liability Company doing business as Gotta Go Taxi. Randy Wyans, applicant.
That's me.
Wyans? Did you want to speak to it all?
I'm starting this cab company. I've been in, I've worked for the other 2 non-municipal companies in the city. I see a need for it, and so I started a business.
what other 2 companies did you work for?
Rapids Quick Cab and All Vortex.
Okay.
And I did review the paperwork. The clerk pointed out everything was in order. There will be a 1 vehicle. You're limited to 1 vehicle.
One vehicle, yep.
Would there be your hours of operation?
24-hour access.
Okay.
The plan is to become a bigger company and obtain commercial property and expand.
Excellent. I think we've had a couple of these come through, I think, in the past year, but I love the competition, seeing more services like this come to town. I think, like you said, there's definitely a need for it. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the taxi cab operator license for Gotta Go Taxi LLC.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the license. Is there any further discussion or questions? So all in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Congrats. Item number 7 is consider for approval a Class B liquor license application and a Class B beer license application for Aaron's Wines and Steins LLC, Aaron Jennings agent, doing business as Aaron's Wines and Steins for the premises located at 161st Street North. And everything was in order.
Everything's in order with that, right? So, everyone come out for approval?
I'm glad you decided to open that property back up. That's a
Yeah,
nice
thanks.
spot. A lot of
Yep.
people were sad to see
Yeah,
it
really is a
closed
good
down.
spot, so pretty much run the same type of business operation that they had before, just, an addition of a few extra things, so incorporate some food
Excellent.
items as well, so.
So what do you anticipate the hours being?
10 to 10 Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
And then Sunday will be open for like special private parties, things like that.
Does the CVB own that building?
Yeah, well, it's kind of goes through a few people. Yeah, it's a leased property, but it's a shared space.
Okay.
So there's the CVB, and then they kind of operate that entire area.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have local on first, so that'll be kind of working together,
Okay.
essentially, between the two.
And you got an opportunity, obviously, to meet with them and talk to them
Yep,
about this
I've had a few
property.
meetings with them, so we've discussed all of the, essential aspects to what we're doing.
No,
And
that's great.
they're on board with the whole idea, so,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the Class B liquor license and Class B beer license application as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion and second to approve the licenses. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Good luck.
Item number 8, review and consider for approval an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license from the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce Incorporated for a business after-hours event to be held on February 11th, 2019 at the Arbor Creek Assisted Living located at 1410 2 Mile Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids.
I think we see these every month, so, you know. I'll make a motion to approve the temporary Class B retailer's license for the Heart of Wisconsin.
I'll second. Motion and a second to approve the license. Any discussion?
Just curious on the date again, 2/11?
Yep.
I'm actually really glad to see them doing this, and I'm also glad to see that this was turned in a month earlier, as opposed to having the approval for the license after the fact. So, thank you for that, and Christopher.
That's right, that came up.
I just want to say they're trying to get it in earlier too, as soon as they know, so that we
Yeah.
don't have that issue.
Right.
Yeah, yep.
It's just not, it's not appropriate to do business after the fact, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
no, it's good.
And they do it every month, so.
Was the motion seconded?
Yes.
Yeah, I seconded.
Did you?
You,
I'm just trying to keep track. So any other discussion on approving the application? So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. I always ask for opposed even if I hear 3 ayes. Just make sure. Item number 9, audit of the bills for January 2019. Mr. Kellogg.
I don't have any questions about these bills, but just curiosity. We had a long discussion when we did the budget about the police department getting cameras. Did they ever get the cameras?
No, that would be, if you recall from that discussion, that when we do the carryover resolution, which will probably hopefully be in March, that any surplus funds that we had from the 2018 operating, that we would, the 2 priorities were the police department body cameras and some fire station modifications.
Okay, I was just
Building modifications, so yeah, they're on the radar.
because I'm excited for them to get those.
Yeah. So.
is there, I have a question for the chat. Is there any way to get more of a description? Or is this just the printout that you get when you run them?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about what we key into the system. Obviously, we're limited on the field's characters that we can do.
It's very vague, and as months passed,
Yeah.
I've questioned some things, and it seems to be, if there's additional information that we can, a field we can put in there to give a little bit of description, it would be, I think, a little helpful for.
Right, and obviously, if you ever have a question about a bill, just shoot me an email, and then I can just scan the invoice into you and send it back, and stuff like that. The nice thing about when we go live in July with Munis is that all our invoices will be scanned into the system. So for every expenditure in our general ledger, you'll be able to, there'll be a PDF where you can actually go and then pull up that PDF. So we'll be able to give, like all the person's to the financial statements, you'll be able to have access to the scanned invoices.
So we will have logins.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes. So it'll
No,
be
I
correct
just-
in the future so that you can basically
Right.
pull up any invoice, and that'll be good for department heads. and
Right now,
back.
it's so general that it's hard
Yeah.
to, I mean, we
Yeah, I
approve
mean,
it as a
it's-
formality, but as far as
Right.
questioning anything, how do you question something?
Like I said, just shoot me an email and I can give you the details, or just send you the scanned invoice and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we're only limited as what we can put in there, so.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to approve checks 75301 through 75653 and manual checks 66000 through 66015.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the bills. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 10, beverage operators licenses. Any questions on them?
Oh, look good.
I'll make a motion then to approve the licenses as presented.
I'll second that.
Yeah, so what this is when they do the application, they have to go online and do the and they have 60 days to do that.
Okay.
There's a temporary license that's issued until we get that.
Okay.
Yeah. They just print out the certificate.
There's a motion and a second to approve the licenses. Any discussion for the questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 11 is set next meeting date.
The first Tuesday would be Tuesday, March 5th.
Tuesday, March 5th, 5 p.m.
Yep. That's
And item number 12 is adjournment.
Do we have to debate that for 15 minutes?
The adjournment or the date?
Yeah, we don't want to, we hold up public works enough.
I feel bad for Tim.
row, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know.
that's what I mean. We gotta.
Mark this date.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here.
Keep your agenda like that.
Yeah. I'll make a
I'll make
motion.
them back. Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.